from the experiences, knowledge and expertise of the three late scholars of the Thai agriculture หลวงสุวรรณ วาจกสิกิจพระช่วงเกษตรศิลปการ and หลวงอิงคศรีกสิการ In 1943, เกษตรศาสตร์ University, where its symbol was พระพิรุณ or Varuna, the god of rain on a nagar serpent's back, surrounded by lotus petals, was a higher education institution offering the first agricultural program in Thailand and established to promote education, to provide academic services for the Thai society, and to take part in the national development. With the wide vision of หม่อมหลวงชูชาติกัมพู in 1967 as an important period for the progress of เกษตรศาสตร์ University, together with the importance for agriculture, considered as a pillar of the country, and due to the fact that the area of Bang Khen district was not enough to increase the number of students. Therefore, เกษตรศาสตร์ University launched the project to establish a new campus on a new and vast area appropriate for development activities of agriculture and related fields in Kamphaeng San district, Nakhon Pathom province, with a distance only around 80 kilometers west of Bangkok, as currently เกษตรศาสตร์ University Kamphaeng San campus. Since its teaching and learning commencement in 1979, เกษตรศาสตร์ University Kamphaeng San campus has humbly welcomed honorable participants from the royal family in many important occasions. Once Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn graciously and kindly planted the Nonsi tree, the เกษตรศาสตร์ University's symbolic tree in the campus, and this is regarded as the royal greatest grace bestowed upon เกษตรศาสตร์ University Kamphaeng San campus administrators, faculty members, students, and staff. Besides the natural beauty of the Pink Tacoma or Champu Pantip Tunnel, one of the famous attractions of Thailand, Dream Destination, or a beautiful flower road in Kamphaeng San campus, it is another unique identity that เกษตรศาสตร์ University Kamphaeng San campus is composed of relaxed environment and quality of life. With the well-equipped facilities of a large indoor and outdoor sports facilities, such as swimming pool, tennis courts, badminton courts, fitness and health parks. And the highlight of a 9-hole golf course reflecting international standards. Moreover, the services of hotel facilities and modern conference rooms are provided by the Sand Palm Training Home. Apart from convenience facilities and hospitalities, เกษตรศาสตร์ University Kamphaeng San campus gives a high priority to those who are passionate in environmental technology with various research stations and diversities of natural resources, such as the เฉลิมพระเกียรติ Insect Park, a research and development center of the greatest entomology site in Thailand and Cowboy Land, the comprehensive beef production and demonstration center, which are well recognized by both Thai and foreign people who are interested in agriculture. In addition to the perfect hospitalities, the success in upgrading the education to international standards is another pride of เกษตรศาสตร์ University. Thus, it ranks 27th in the world for agriculture and forestry courses, leading to academic collaboration with international partners at the global level, including government agencies. world-leading universities and famous associations. The international cooperation is such as that with the Israel government established the Agricultural Technology Complex, the World Vegetable Center, the Rice Gene Discovery and Rice Science Center. The DNA Laboratory, the Intelligent Agricultural Research Center, and etc. In addition, เกษตรศาสตร์ University กำแพงแสน campus offers educational programs under the concept of innovative agriculture, which are internationally recognized in 7 faculties as follows. Faculty of Agriculture, กำแพงแสน campus. To transfer the knowledge of agricultural science in both plants and animals by using the technology as an important tool to develop quality products in agriculture. Faculty of Engineering กำแพงแสนEngineering for Agriculture, Energy and Infrastructure, Development of Industrial Agricultural Production Systems for Domestic Consumption and Export with Innovations and Technology. Faculty of Sports Sciences. To exchange knowledge of sports science with students in Southeast Asia and Western countries, to produce personnel with expertise in sports science and health, to develop the potential of athletes to excellence and to enhance the people's quality of life. Faculty of Education and Development Sciences. To produce graduates in education with demonstration school of เกษตรศาสตร์ University กำแพงแสน campus. Center for Educational Research and Development as a practical source of teacher professional experience, focusing on research projects to promote learning and creation of educational media innovations, as well as development of human resource and community. Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science. Emphasizes the importance of the 3 foundation courses to produce graduates who have skills in integrating basic knowledge to meet the needs of the national, regional, and international levels. Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. Kamphangshan campus aims to produce the leading veterinarians in the country and to promote research and development in animal innovation with leading domestic and international institutions. It is especially to provide teaching and learning for its 4th to 6th year students with its subordinate agencies and animal hospitals to provide services for small animals, special pets, large animals, and wild animals. Faculty of Fisheries at กำแพงแสน is to produce graduates to be excellent in the technology for aquaculture, propagation, as well as processing of aquatic animals, and to create research in order to transfer knowledge to both national and international societies. To maintain its status as the 27th rank of the world-class universities, according to the leading international education standards, เกษตรศาสตร์ University กำแพงแสน Campus has continuously transferred technology and research innovations through international training provided for agricultural organizations and farmers in Asia and Africa under academic collaboration with Thailand International Cooperation Agencies, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, aiming to develop the outstanding academic cooperation with many leading international universities and organizations. With its sheer determination as an educational institution for agricultural development, more than 3,000 pieces of research have been conducted and developed to be cutting-edge innovations which have been transferred to and for the benefits of the Thai society and even global community. Moreover, its agricultural technology-related curriculum has been well developed and internationally recognized. These academic heritages are intellectual property that is not only ready to be transferred to the world community, but also able to produce graduates with the highest quality that are capable and ready to bring skills to develop the country. Also, the graduates are the pride of เกษตรศาสตร์ University กำแพงแสน Campus as important force to create benefits for the Thai society after the determination that เกษตรศาสตร์ is the knowledge of the land.
สวัสดีค่ะท่านผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านนะคะขอต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่การประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติวิทยาศาสตร์เทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมฐานเทคโนโลยีครั้งที่ 47 หรือวทท 47 นะคะ The 47th International Congress on Science, Technology and Technology-Based Innovation STT47 ในวันนี้นะคะต้อนรับกันที่ห้องประชุมอนามัยดำเนตรแกรนด์บอลลูมอาคารนิวัฒน์เรืองพาณิชย์คณะศิลปศาสตร์และวิทยาศาสตร์มหาวิทยาลัยเกษตรศาสตร์วิเขตกำแพงแสนค่ะวันนี้ดิฉันภกามาศ ธนาพัฒนพงศ์นักประชาสัมพันธ์ชำนาญการนะคะรับหน้าที่เป็นพิธีกรในภาคภาษาไทยค่ะโดยมีท่านผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.ปิยพงษ์ เหล่าศรีรัตนชัยรองคณบดีฝ่ายวิชาการคณะศิลปศาสตร์และวิทยาศาสตร์นะคะจะเป็นพิธีกรในภาคภาษาอังกฤษด้วยค่ะการจัดประชุมในวันนี้นะคะเกิดขึ้นภายใต้หัวข้อ Science for SDGs Challenges and Solutions นะคะจะจัดขึ้นระหว่างวันที่ 5 ถึงวันที่ 7 ตุลาคมนี้นะคะโดยจัดระบบประชุมออนไลน์ด้วยระบบ Zoom แล้วก็ Facebook Live ด้วยค่ะซึ่งปีนี้ก็ถือว่าเป็นการจัดในรูปแบบของ Virtual Congress เต็มรูปแบบเป็นครั้งแรกนะคะซึ่งทางผู้จัดงานนะคะก็ได้รับพระมหากรุณาธิคุณจากสมเด็จพระนิธิถาธิราชเจ้ากรมสมเด็จพระเทพรัตนราชสุดาสยามบรมราชกุมารีทรงเป็นองค์ประธานเปิดการประชุมในวันนี้ด้วยค่ะซึ่งกำหนดการในวันนี้นะคะก็จะเริ่มต้นด้วยการที่รับชมวิดีทัศน์แนะนำมหาวิทยาลัยเกษตรศาสตร์ซึ่งจบไปสักครู่นี้นะคะและเมื่อเวลา9 นาฬิกานะคะก็จะเข้าสู่พิธีการพระองค์ท่านจะเสด็จเป็นองค์ประธานเปิดการประชุมในวันนี้จากนั้นนะคะจะเรียนเชิญท่านนายกสมาคมวิทยาศาสตร์นะคะได้เป็นผู้กล่าวรายงานกราบบังคมทูลถวายรายงานกิจการของสมาคมวิทยาศาสตร์แห่งประเทศไทยในพระบรมราชูปถัมภ์คือท่านศาสตราจารย์ดร.สุภวรรณ ตันตยานนท์นะคะจากนั้นค่ะประธานจัดการประชุม STT47 ในปีนี้นะคะคือท่านศาสตราจารย์ดร.สมเกียรติงามประเสริฐสิทธิ์ท่านจะกราบบังคมทูลถวายรายงานการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติ STT47 ค่ะต่อด้วยท่านอธิการบดีมหาวิทยาลัยเกษตรศาสตร์ดร.จงรัก วัชรินทร์รัตน์จะกล่าวต้อนรับผู้เข้าร่วมการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติ STT47 นะคะเมื่อทั้ง3ท่านได้กล่าวบังคมทูลเรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะ สมเด็จพระนิธิถาธิราชเจ้ากรมสมเด็จพระเทพรัตนราชสุดาสยามบรมราชกุมารีก็จะมีพระราชดำรัสเปิดการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติ STT47 จากนั้นท่านคณบดีคณะศิลปศาสตร์และวิทยาศาสตร์ค่ะผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.อนามัยดำเนตรจะกราบบังคมทูลแนะนำและกราบบังคมทูลเบิกผู้บรรยายพิเศษในวันนี้นะคะจำนวน3ท่านด้วยกันซึ่งท่านแรกก็จะเป็นนักวิทยาศาสตร์รางวัลโนเบลค่ะปีคศ 2016 ในสาขาเคมีก็คือ Professor Dr. Ben L Ferrinka นะคะท่านจะมาพูดในหัวข้อ The Art of Building Small นะคะก็ใช้เวลาประมาณสัก30 นาทีจากนั้นนะคะท่านที่2จะบรรยายพิเศษนะคะในหัวข้อที่มีความสำคัญในวันนี้อีกหัวข้อหนึ่งนะคะก็คือ Efficient Solution Reusable Emissive Material for Simple Structure Organic Light Emitting Dot นะคะโดยนักวิทยาศาสตร์ดีเด่นประจำปี 2564 ค่ะคือศาสตราจารย์ดร.วินิต พรหมมารักษ์นะคะ2ท่านก็จะบรรยายนะคะใช้เวลาประมาณ20 นาทีจากนั้นจะเป็นการกล่าวสุนทรพจน์นะคะโดยท่านประธานสมาพันธ์เคมีบริสุทธิ์และเคมีประยุกต์ระหว่างประเทศ IUPAC นะคะ Professor Dr. Christopher Bett นะคะในหัวข้อ IUPAC and its role as a global resource for chemistry ค่ะนี่ก็เป็นกำหนดการทั้งหมดในวันนี้นะคะที่ท่านจะได้รับฟังนะคะการประชุมในพิธีเปิดในวันนี้ด้วยค่ะ
A very warm welcome to everyone from เกษตรศาสตร์ University กำแพงแสน Campus, Thailand. It's Tuesday, the 5th of October, 2021. I am Assistant Professor Dr. ปิยพงษ์ เลาศิรณชัย and the lady right beside me, Ms. Pakama Thanapatanapong. It's our extreme honor to be here today as your Master of Ceremony on such a remarkable occasion.We are welcoming you to the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, Technology-Based Innovation or STT47, Science for Sustainable Development Goals, Challenges and Solutions. Due to the situation of coronavirus outbreak or COVID-19 and infection control policy, we thus meet each other virtually in this year's Congress. We have participants watching us on Zoom. We also have people watching us on several social media platforms. Today, with us, we have our honorable plenary lecturers, Professor Dr. Ben Ferrinka, Professor Dr. Vinesh Prommalak, and Professor Dr. Christopher Brett.This year, we have 5 sessions and 19 symposiums with a variety of interesting topics for all of you to attend. For more information about the schedule and program, please visit our website at stt47.sci.soc.or.th. Thank you.
ค่ะกันนี้ใกล้เวลาเสด็จการประชุมนะคะของพระองค์ท่านแล้วนะคะเรียนเชิญท่านผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมทุกท่านนะคะได้รับเสด็จโดยพร้อมเพรียงกันโดยการที่จะปิดไมโครโฟนนะคะในช่องที่ท่านรับทราบอยู่ในขณะนี้นะคะแล้วก็รับฟังการปาฐกถาพิเศษในลำดับต่อไปค่ะ
During this opening ceremony, I would like to ask you all to turn up your mobile phone. Thank you.
May it please Your Royal Highness. My name is Professor Dr. Suppawan Tantayanon, the President of Science Society of Thailand, under the patronage of His Majesty the King. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to extend our deepest appreciation to Your Royal Highness for your generous hospitality extended to the Science Society of Thailand, and for graciously presiding over the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, and Technology-Based Innovation, or STT47 Congress today. It is vital to recognize countless success stories and achievements in science under the umbrella of the Science Society of Thailand over the past 7 decades. Despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, all the society activities have been continued, but mostly performed to fully virtual operations, including this Congress, to ensure the health and safety of the participants, speakers, staff, and community. The STT47 Congress covers several global aspects of science, from the very fundamental to practical applications of the basic principles of sciences. Particularly, it is the first time of its kind that the Congress calls for symposiums chaired by 2 reputable companies, Dow Chemical Thailand and SCG Chemicals, which will mark the new dimension of the academia and industry cooperation. Early this year, the Science Society of Thailand has been one of 76 science organizations and networks worldwide who support the proclamation of IYBSSD 2022, or the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development 2022 to the United Nations. Accordingly, the Society will take part in the International Advisory Committee and help set national and regional programs for IYBSSD 2022. Its purpose is to strengthen all over the world the role of basic sciences toward the achievement of Agenda 2030 and Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, announced by United Nations. The Congress theme of this year on Sciences for SDGs, Challenges and Solutions, is therefore timely appropriate. The Society has already initiated a few pre-launch IYBSSD programs like Young Rising Stars of Science Awards for the outstanding research work of the undergraduates starting last year. And this year, the additional awards junior young rising stars of science for the outstanding research work of the high school students. These 100 awardees will present their research work in this Congress. Moreover, the workshop entitled "The Future is Now: Sciences for SDGs" has been organized in cooperation of TISA, Thai Young Scientists Academy, to engage these students in higher education in the global effort to achieve Agenda 2030 and the SDGs, as well as empower them with the knowledge and pathways to action to be effective agents of change today. In addition, the Society has called for the second assembly of all basic sciences department heads in Thailand at this Congress to discuss on IYB SSD 2022 activities. Accordingly, the STT47 Congress will not only be a stage for the scientific community worldwide to communicate and collaborate in the search for sustainable solutions, but also provide the opportunity for the competent students and undergraduates representing our next generation of potential scientists to learn from and network with the reputable scientists around the world. On behalf of the Science Society of Thailand, I am grateful to the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science, เกษตรศาสตร์ University, กำแพงแสน Campus, our terrific co-host of the STT47 Congress. Appreciation is also extended to all the chairs of sessions, symposiums, plenary, and invited speakers, collaborating societies, sponsors, and certainly all the delegates that have contributed to the success of the STT47 Congress. Thank you.
Innovation, important roles in
May it please Your Royal Highness, my name is Professor Somkiat Ngamprasasit, the Chairman of the Organizing Committee of the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, and Technology-Based Innovation, or STT47. The STT47 Congress is jointly organized by the Science Society of Thailand under the patronage of His Majesty and the King and Faculty Liberal Arts and Science, เกษตรศาสตร์ University, กำแพงแสน Campus, during October 5 to 7, 2021. This Congress continues the STT tradition of high quality and broad national and international participation in all areas of science and technology. The theme of this Congress, Sciences for SDGs, Challenges and Solutions, embraces all areas of science and science-related discipline, with special emphasis on sustainable development. The Congress is composed of 5 sessions and 19 symposiums, chaired by the eminent scientists. The 5 sessions are Challenges in Physics for Life in Space, Math-StatCom for SDGs, Sustainable Solutions, Impact of Biological Science toward SDGs, SDG Challenges, Chemical Solution for Sustainable Society, and Innovation Impacts Driven SDGs. The 19 symposiums are in the currently interesting issues such as how chemistry can resolve for COVID-19 pandemic, forest biodiversity, climate change, and sustainable use for saving life on Earth, sustainable use of marine biodiversity, etc. The technical program is thus rich and varied with 2 plenary speakers, Professor Dr. Ben L Ferrinka, the 2016 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, Professor Dr. Vinit Promalak, the Outstanding Scientist of Thailand, year 2021. The Congress has also been honored by 3 keynotes and 80 invited speakers from various parts of the world. The 180 oral presentations are categorized into 6 parallel oral sessions and 200 posters into 3 poster sessions. Besides, a workshop on the future is now Science for SDG has been organized mainly for students and undergraduate participants to engage them in higher education in the global effort to achieve the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs as well as empower them with the knowledge, skills, and pathway to action to be effective agents of change today. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic globally, all these presentations and the workshop has now been designated to be delivered virtually in this fully online Congress. Nevertheless, the Congress is being attended by 800 local and overseas participants from more than 20 countries. Thank you.
อธิการพูดแต่ไม่พูดไม่ยืนอยู่แล้ว
Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Jongrak Pacharinrat, the President of Kasetsart University. I am honored to welcome all participants to the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, and Technology-Based Innovation, which begins today and continues until the 7th of October. Kasetsart University realized the important and tremendous value of the Congress as a venue of international and domestic researchers, scientists, lecturers, scholars, students, and people from government and private sectors to exchange their expertise and experience in a wide range of disciplines related to science, technology, and technology-based research and innovation. This Congress provides an excellent, exciting opportunity for young Thai scholars. This year, the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science at University Gapeng San campus has the honor of co-hosting the STT47 Congress with the Science Societies of Thailand under the patronage of King Majestic King. The Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science is responsible for teaching foundation course to all students enrolled in degree program at the Gapeng San campus. The goal is to give each student some understanding basic scientific principles that will help them in whatever field they study. KU and this campus seeks an educational leader that blend academic learning and applied research. Our motto is knowledge of the land for innovation towards sustainable future. KU is sincerely committed to producing high quality graduates who can contribute to our nation, continuing growth and development. To succeed in the commitment, we also often collaborate with international partners on research projects that have national and global impacts and promote vital sustainable development goals. It is appreciated that this Congress is based at the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science. The faculty is not only full scientists and researchers, but it also has a modern conference center equipped with the largest audiovisual equipment and online applications, which facilitate a wide variety of academic activities. And now this online STT47 Congress ensures the Congress is conducted efficiently and safely. The Congress will comply with the guidelines intended to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. And now, on behalf of Kasetsart University, I would like to officially give all participants a warm welcome to the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, and Technology-Based Innovation. May I now respectfully request Your Royal Highness to declare the Congress open. Thank you.
Science, technology, and innovation have played important roles in the improving well-being of mankind, such as in health, agricultural production, economic growth, and social development. Science and technology in Thailand has improved greatly in the last few decades in terms of science education, science literacy, and as well as advanced research and innovation. Now, numerous highly qualified scientists and technologists in Thailand continue to produce high-quality research, both in basic sciences and in useful innovations. Works performed by Thai students and young scientists are also recognized in the international arena. As we are all aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the whole world, including Thailand, leading to a new normal where meetings must be held online. However, scientists throughout the world have worked to counter this threat by developing several new vaccines and exploring new drugs. In Thailand, scientists from several institutions and disciplines have joined hands to develop vaccines and apply local medicinal plants to treat COVID-19. Despite these efforts, the present 47th STT Congress has had to be held online for the first time due to the pandemic. However, I am pleased to witness the progress of this Congress over the years and see that the Congress has reached the international science community. Indeed, despite being organized virtually, the organizers have maintained high academic quality, covering both basic and applied sciences. The present Congress has also managed to draw more participants from high schools, universities, scientific institutions, and the private sector. It is my pleasure to declare open the 47th International Congress of Science, Technology, and Technology-Based Innovation under the theme Sciences for SDGs, Challenges and Solutions. The theme and programs of this Congress provide a platform for the exchange of knowledge and ideas, which will facilitate the achievement of sustainable development goals. I wish the organizers and participants of this Congress a successful and fruitful outcome. Thank you very much.
May it please Your Royal Highness, I am Assistant Professor Dr. Anamai Damnet, the Dean of Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science. Please allow me to introduce our three reputable plenary speakers. Firstly, Professor Dr. Ben L Ferrinka. Professor Ferrinka was knighted by Her Majesty the Queen of the Netherlands in 2008. His research has been recognized with numerous awards. His most recognizable award is the 2016 Nobel Laureate in Chemistry. Today he is going to deliver a talk in the topic of the art of building small. Secondly, Professor Dr. Vanit Promarak. Professor Dr. Promarak has got various prestigious awards, including the Outstanding National Research Award in Chemistry from the National Research Council of Thailand, the TFR Senior Research Scholar from the Thailand Research Fund, the CST High Impact Chemist Award 2017 from Chemistry Society of Thailand, and the last award, the 2021 Outstanding Scientist of Thailand. Today he is going to give us a talk in the topic of efficient solution processable emissive materials for simple structure organic in light emitting diodes, OLED. Lastly, Professor Dr. Christopher Brett, the president of IUPAC, is going to give a short speech in the topic of IUPAC and its role as a global resource for chemistry. On this remarkable occasion, may I kindly request Professor Dr. Ben L Ferrinka, the 2016 Nobel Laureate in Chemistry, to be on stage to deliver a talk in the topic of the art of building small. Thank you.
Your Royal Highness, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to be able to speak here at this conference, Challenges and Solutions for the Future, in Thailand. I want to talk about the art of building small. I'm a chemist, and we design molecules and materials that will make a difference for our future. But first, let me talk about the joy of discovery. Being a scientist, we walk on our path to the future, asking questions to Mother Nature. We provide challenges for our young people, the students, dreams and opportunities for society and industry. This is really an adventure in the unknown, and we often get lost in this beautiful garden, which is called the garden of science and knowledge. We have to ask ourselves also the question, how you go from fundamental science to the products that make modern society. I suppose you all have a smartphone, but I don't know if you realize or ask the questions, which fundamental scientific questions were asked, which novel insights and discoveries were really needed to make this possible, this modern technology. It was more than 50 years ago, in the late 40s, early 50s of the past century, that physics discovered the first transistor, chemists made the first liquid crystal display materials, and it was in the 80s that John Goodenow developed the lithium battery. He got a Nobel Prize 2 years ago for the discovery of the lithium battery that makes it possible that we can power our smartphones. So it was physics, chemistry, engineers, computer scientists, and nobody knew that we would have a smartphone. The word smartphone did not exist in the early 50s of the past century. It was a 50-year route to change the world, the way we communicate with each other. So I'm a chemist, and facing our future, we should realize that chemistry is the creating science. So towards our future, there's a big challenge to develop sustainable processes and products, reinventing materials and energy carriers to fuel our cars and planes, changing the face of the chemical industry to make it more sustainable, and of course, developing drugs. We are in a COVID crisis, and we should realize how important it is to go from trial and error to molecular design. Fundamental questions, but often we provide a lot of challenges and perspectives for industry and society. In the art of building small, together with my students, we built molecules. We design new molecules that never existed. These can be molecules for a new pharmaceutical or for a new material or maybe for an energy carrier. So in the laboratory, we do chemical synthesis. This is the basis of our research. And we develop a passion for molecules, making molecules by chemical synthesis that never existed before, just maybe to test a theory, or as I mentioned before, to develop something that is a useful product or a better product, a sustainable product for our modern society. Designing our molecular world. But before I tell you about how we design our molecular world, I want to emphasize the role of teachers. Teachers open windows and they shape our future with the young talents, and we should not forget that. So, building molecules and materials in the laboratory, we share a universal language. When I talk to you here in Thailand, when I go to China or Japan or to Africa or America, when I talk about molecules and I show the structure here of a sugar or the periodic table, everybody who has a basic knowledge of chemistry or molecules or materials knows what I'm talking about. A universal language. We have no borders. We go beyond frontiers, crossing frontiers in the unknown territories in the scientific world. International cooperation, I cannot emphasize that enough, how important it is these days, where we share our knowledge and together make discoveries that make it possible that we have a better world in the future. And as I mentioned, we share this passion for knowledge and discovery. So, as a chemist, in the art of building small, we are very good in making molecules and materials. And you see here a very small molecule, ethylene, the basis for plastic. 2 carbons and 4 hydrogens. 160 million tons a year we produce around the world. And of course there is a lot of problems with plastic. Think about plastic recycling and so. We can think about that later, but this is one very big, a huge product. But we make also very complex products on very small scale, like for instance vitamin B12. It was once called, when it was made by Woodward and Eschenmoser, the Mount Everest of synthetic chemistry. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, cobalt, all these elements are part of these very complex molecules. Vitamin B12, and as far as I know, we make 35 tons a year around the world. Small quantities. Why? Because you need only microgram quantities of this essential vitamin to stay healthy. Very simple molecules, huge quantities, very complex molecules, small quantities. Just two examples of what we can make by design, by chemical processes, and which help us to change the world and make modern society. So we can make all these products, from our pharmaceuticals, cables, all the components of your car, the soaps, the dyes, clothes, all the components, the materials that makes a smartphone. That is molecular and materials design that make our modern society. But what we are not very good in is making dynamic functions. So here I show you a few dynamic functions that are present in your body. The rotary motor in your cell membranes, the bio-nanomotors that transport things in your cells or make it possible that I can lift my arm here or move my muscles. The ribosome, the protein synthesis machinery in your body. The bacteria flagella motor, absolutely fantastic machine that makes it possible that a bacteria can swim in your guts and it go backward and forward because it can rotate in two different directions. And the optical switching process, the information storage system, that makes it possible that we can see something and that a signal goes to our brain, a small molecule molecular switch. So when we compare an artificial robot or a machine, like for instance this robot in a car manufacturing plant or a natural robot in your body, the robot that makes the proteins, we should be careful that it's a different world. The world of the hard robots, the hard materials, and the world of the soft materials in your body. And there is a factor of length scale, 1 billion time size in difference. The robot in your body is almost 1 billion times smaller. And I will talk a bit about motion today, how we can induce motion, how we can challenge this going from material that is inert to material that can move, like the motors and the machines in your body. And that is about how to control motion. Before I tell you a few of these stories, I want to share with you to emphasize what is nanotechnology. We are working at the molecular scale, the scale of 1 billion of a meter. And just to give you an impression, if I take here one hair, and I look at the cross-section of my human hair, this is 80,000 nanometer. That is huge in the world what I'm talking about. 80,000 times the size of a molecule that I'm talking about. And on the cross-section of a human hair, you can write 250 million letters, just to give you an impression of the size difference. So, in the art of building small, miniaturizing of machinery and molecular nanotechnology, working at the nanoscale, this actually started already a long time ago. The famous physicist Richard Feynman said in 1959 in a lecture, there is plenty of room at the bottom. And what he meant is that we should look at Mother Nature and design molecules and materials and machines just like Mother Nature does it, starting with atoms and molecules. Now in the past, say 70, 80 years, what we have seen is the so-called top-down approach in electronics, going smaller and smaller and smaller. You see here this picture, this old picture of the first computer, which could completely fill a hall or a big room. And now we have these tiny transistors in your smartphone and your electronic devices, which are the size of a few nanometers. So we go top-down, smaller and smaller. But what we are going to do in molecular nanoscience, molecular nanotechnology, is bottom-up, just like Mother Nature builds all these machines and materials in your body. And it was 50 years later that I had the privilege to go with my colleagues Jean-Pierre Sauvage and Sir Fraser Stoddart. You see the pictures here. I got the magic call from Stockholm. By the way, Jean-Pierre Sauvage was the first who made a kind of artificial muscle that you see depicted here, a molecular muscle. So I often get the question, Why are we doing this? Why do we need molecular motors and machines? Why do we need this molecular nanotechnology? And a similar question was asked more or less to the Wright brothers more than 100 years ago when they were flying for the first time. You see here the picture of the first flying machine at Kitty Hawk in the United States, 1903. Fascinated by the flying bird, these gentlemen were flying for the first time. And people said, why does mankind need to fly? If God wanted us to fly, he would have given us wings. Nobody would have predicted 100 years ago that we would have Airbuses or Boeing 747s that can carry 400 people across the ocean at 1,000 kilometers an hour. Of course, we are inspired by the flying pigeon, but realize this flying Boeing or Airbus is a completely artificial machine. 3.5 million parts are completely synthetic, and it's not flying like a bird. A plane is not flapping with its wings. But we should also be very modest, because more than 100 years after the Wright brothers, we cannot build a pigeon. We cannot build a single cell of a flying pigeon. We cannot build even one of the machineries of this pigeon. So we started our journey in the art of building small with molecular switches, taking inspiration from Mother Nature. And you all know what a switch is. 0, 1, 0, 1, switch on and off the light, switch on and off your car or your computer. And this is all about dynamic control of functions. And as I mentioned before, we get inspiration from Mother Nature. You see here the switch, the light switch in the human eye. It goes from a band structure to a linear structure. It's a small molecule, 1 nanometer in size. But there are millions of them in your eyes that make it possible that we can see, and a signal goes to your brain, and that we can store information. A molecular switch. But you cannot use this to make an information storage system or a computational device. So we make artificial systems. Here you see a molecule that we designed in the laboratory that my students built, and that can switch between 2 states, from the left to the right, left to right, 0, 1, 0, 1. We switch between the 2 states, and mimicking, taking advantage of the natural system, we built our completely artificial system. And yes, we can switch back and forth with light and store information. And we used it to make a piece of plastic where we can store zeros and ones and write information. And we used it over the years to make a kind of information storage systems. So to give you a small impression again, what you can do is to store information on a compact disk, and you can store this kind of megabytes on one compact disk if you can write information at the molecular scale. This is of course the future, this is not reality yet. But in principle, to give you an idea, you could take one compact disk and play 240 years of music. So your grandparents and your grandchildren, many generations for 240 years could continuously play music with one compact disc, with the amount of information that you could store. But we can do other things with it. So in recent years, what we have done is making smart medicine. And we all know that there is an issue often with medicines when you get a medicine prescribed by the doctor about side effects in your body. And what we want is that we get high precision in therapeutic action. That is to say, you have an inactive pharmaceutical and you activate it light on the spot with a flash of light. So imagine you have an infection or you have a tumor, you take a drug, it goes through your whole body, and normally you can expect also some side effects. Now what we want to do is to irradiate it with a lamp or a laser exactly there where it's needed, and then you get high precision therapy or high precision action. Does it work? Here you see an example of an anti-tumor compound, and we could switch this anti-tumor compound on and off with light. And hopefully in the future, and this is a bit of my dream, we can do precision chemotherapy, because we all know for cancer treatment, chemotherapeutic agents have often nasty side effects. If we could detect these tiny tumors, add your inactive chemotherapeutic agent and then just activate it on the spot by taking advantage of the information that we have where the tiny tumors are, we can activate and get high precision therapy. We can switch them on and off on demand. Smart, pharmaceuticals. Now, that brings me to molecular motors, because a switch is not a motor. And realize when something moves, your body moves, it is out of equilibrium. I often hear you should be in equilibrium. Please don't. Be in harmony. Harmony with yourself and harmony with Mother Nature. But you don't be in equilibrium, because when you are in equilibrium, you are dead. Your body is constantly out of equilibrium thanks to these molecular motors. And here you see the most wonderful molecular motor in the world. This is the ATPase rotary motor. This is molecular nanoscience in your body. There are millions and millions of these motors in your body, and they make the fuel, the ATP. And realize, ladies and gentlemen, these tiny machines, millions of them together, make almost half your body weight of fuel every day. This is a fantastic system to generate fuel and to recycle the materials, because you don't eat half your body weight of material every day. But what you see here also is it spins, it rotates. So the fundamental scientific questions we had to ask ourselves to design nanomotors, molecular motors, is how to control rotary motion and how to control left and right in the nano world. Realize when there is no fuel, no energy in your car, it will not move. And when there is equal probability going backward and forward, your car will not move either. You have to go either backward or forward, left or right. And this is what we have to control. Now, how do you control left and right? And we all know that. You have a left hand and you have a right hand. You have a left shoe and a right shoe. In the molecular world, we also have left and right, and this is crucial for life. The right-handed helix of DNA, which was called the Mona Lisa of modern science, the left-handed form of amino acids. This is essential for life. And so what we did is we built a tiny rotary motor that spins either clockwise or counterclockwise. And we built it because we took a left-handed molecule or a right-handed molecule, so we can control the directionality of motion. It's powered by light. The energy comes from the light, a power stroke motor, and it rotates through 4 steps. And you can see here the 4 colors and also the 4 individual steps. They are powered by light, and you go in a unidirectional rotary cycle. This was the first, as far as we know, rotary molecular motor in the world. Now you might ask, how fast was this motor when you designed it? And actually, you know, I have to admit that the first motor we made spent 1 cycle, 1 rotation per hour. Now that's not much. You cannot build a car with that or a machine or whatever. But meanwhile, in the last 15 years, we have made dozens of different motors, and we have now motors that spin 10 million rotations per second and everything in between. So from hours to minutes to seconds to milliseconds. And the fastest one, 10 million rotations per second. So we can adapt it for specific applications. Here you see an example of a kind of stepping stone to a molecular machine that we recently made. And here my students were inspired by the moon. You all know that when you stand on the earth and you look at the moon, you always see the same face, because it's synchronized rotary motion. So my students looked at the moon, and you might ask yourself, are your students so romantic? Now maybe that is not the reason. We were fascinated by this idea to have synchronized motion, because if you can synchronize motion at the molecular level, you can build more complex machinery functions. And here you see this type of synchronized motion, where 2 types of rotors are coupled to each other. The whole system is driven by light, the energy comes from the light, and we have control over directionality and control over movement. Just like the moon rotates around the earth, always the same face of the rotor is facing the motor part. Now, I'm from the Netherlands, and we like windmills. And you see here the classical windmill with the tulips. You see here the modern windmill that we use now a lot to generate electricity. We thought, can we make a nano windmill? Because we have a rotor, can it spin under the influence of light? So we make a system where we put 2 legs and we assemble it to a surface, in this case gold. And yes, we built a molecular windmill park. You see here the traditional windmills of the Netherlands that were built by our ancestors 500 years ago. We built a nano windmill park. 1 layer of these motors all connected to the surface, and they all spin in the same direction under influence from light. It's not a windmill, but it is a solar-powered mill. And they all rotate. And now you might ask me, that's nice, but why do you do this? Why do you want to make this tiny windmill park? Now, of course, we can put now these responsive, these dynamic motors on the surface. They make the surface mobile. So what about self-cleaning glass when they spin, when they are moving, or self-repair surfaces? So think about the future. You will have self-cleaning windows. You will have solar panels that clean themselves, so you don't have to remove the dust to keep high efficiency. Cars, you don't have to clean them, or if there is a scratch in your car, they will repair themselves because the surface is dynamic. Maybe not with our motors because they might be too expensive, but when you know the fundamental principles, how to make a dynamic surface, you can think about these applications, and for sure they will come. And I'll show you here another example of a dynamic surface, and to show you that really we can make surfaces and coatings dynamic. These are liquid crystals, and you all know what a liquid crystal is. The display materials in your smartphone, in your laptop. And you see here the soft liquid crystal material, and there's a tiny amount of these molecular motors in there, and you see even here a glass rod spinning on top of this surface. And you see the color changes, the whole surface changes, and it moves. So yes, we can make motion, dynamic surfaces. I want to share with you another example of what we were very excited about, and that is, can we go from rotation to translation? This is a fundamental question, how to convert rotary motion into translational motion. And we thought, let's make a car. And you see here in the upper panel, you see a solar-powered car. This is made by the engineering students, and there is a race in Australia every year for solar-powered cars. They are 2 meters in size, they have these solar panels, and they make a long journey through the desert. We are molecular engineers, so we thought with our students, can we build a nano car that is powered by electricity or by light? And you see the difference in size, 2 meters and 2 billion of a meter, 1 billion times smaller. And we made directly a 4-wheel drive. You see here 4 of these rotary motors to a frame, and the 4 wheels are the motors actually that should propel the molecular car. And it should move over a surface. And ultimately what we want to do is to make transporters, just like the transporters in your body that bring molecules or materials from one position to another at the nanoscale. And you see here is the 4-wheel drive nano car, and it moves over a surface. And now let me emphasize, in the nano world it's different from the macro world. These cars don't move like a car on the highway, on the road. In your body, all these materials, these motors, make stepping type of movements, just as I showed you in this animation. They move over a protein filament, over the highways in your cells. So the world at the nanoscale, the type of motion is entirely different. And so you see here a picture of a modern electric car. And we probably will all have electric cars in the future, at least that is our goal. Here you see my nano car, this tiny valve with a white powder. But realize there are 1 billion times 1 billion identical nano cars, because they are so small. And they move when you put in energy. So my car manufacturing plant is not so bad after all. Actually, there was also a nano car race in Toulouse, a Formula 1 for nano cars. You see here the picture, and James Tour from Texas and Leonard Grill from Austria, they won the race. A nano car race for nano cars on surfaces. So in the last part of my talk, I would talk a little bit about smart materials, in this case, how to make an artificial muscle. And this was an extra challenge, because now we had to go to water, because we all know that in our body, things operate in aqueous environment, in water. And that is an extra dimension for the designer of artificial materials. So what about muscles? We all know about muscle movement. You see these animals here, you see this human being. the strong muscles. How does that work in your body? You have these filaments, the protein filaments, that glide with respect to each other. There are these motor proteins, and the motors make it possible that we can make these filaments move, and millions of them together work to make that I can lift my arm here, that I can do this movement. It's amplification of motion from nano to macroscopic dimension. And I mentioned before, Jean-Pierre Sauvage made several years ago the first tiny molecular muscle. Of course, there is a lot of activities around the world now in making this smart of responsive materials, muscle-type movement. Because in the future we will have all kinds of soft robotics. Robotics is a big development for our society. And to make this possible, we need this kind of smart materials, materials that can move autonomously, or when they get an external signal, like electricity or light, that they can undergo motion. And here you see our artificial muscle. This is a fiber, a freestanding muscle fiber. You can see it moves when we irradiate with light. It bends towards the light, it can bend away, depending on the direction of irradiation. And I hope you can see it moving. This tiny muscle can pick up a piece of paper. It's completely autonomous movement, depending upon if we irradiate with light. So, what you see moving here, ladies and gentlemen, is 95% water and 5% of material that we engineered to make this muscle possible. This is a motor. You see the picture of the molecular structure down here, a molecular motor that we engineered like a soap, a detergent. And when you put it in water, it assembles spontaneously in this muscle structure. So once again, in the art of building small, we can design molecules that have this property that they can assemble together and form this completely organized tiny muscle, and then when we put in energy, it can pick up an object. Of course, this is just the start, but it tells you what is possible once you are able to make tiny machines, switches and motors, and responsive materials. Now the question comes, can we make nanorobots? Do we have nanorobots in the future that will go through your blood vein and deliver a drug, a pharmaceutical, or maybe detect a defect cell or do a repair? Is this science or science fiction? I don't know. I took you today on a small journey towards our future and show you some of our possibilities. Possibilities when you design your materials. And of course, I should emphasize this is early stage. It will take several years. Think again of your smartphone. Think of the electric car. But it will come. We will have these smart materials. We will have these new things that will change our world. But I'm not good in prediction. I'm a scientist. So let me emphasize the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And this is what we do. All together with our students, all the scholars at our universities and research institutes, and together with our industries. So, prospects for the future, from molecules to molecular machines and smart materials, starting with Mother Nature and introducing dynamic functions like triggering, response, and motion, we will have smart pharmaceuticals, better treatment for our patient, self-cleaning, self-repair materials, so that we don't have to recycle so often, we can keep them longer, soft robotics, all kinds of responsive materials for applications. But of course, I could not have done anything, wasn't it for my team of students and the funding agencies that I show here. But in particular, I want to emphasize my heroes, the young students and young researchers that were so brave and creative to make this all possible. And I want to finish. In the art of building small, I want to quote my hero, Leonardo da Vinci. 500 years ago already, he said, when nature finishes producing his own species, man begins, with the help of nature, to create an infinity of species. And for all the young people, the young students in the audience, our future looks very bright. Imagine the unimaginable. I thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vinit Pomarak from Vidyasirimeti Institute of Science and Technology. Today, I would like to share with you our research in the development of solution processable emissive material for simple structure organic light emitting diodes or OLEDs. First of all, I would like to thank STT47 organizing committee, เกษตรศาสตร์ University for kind invitation. This is the outline of my talk. In my talk, I will cover all this topic. I believe that everyone already know about organic light emitting diode OLED. OLED is the organic thin film flat lighting device in which organic thin film of 30 to 50 nanometer emit light when we apply voltage to the device. Nowadays, organic light emitting diode technology is ready commercialized to many commercial products. For example, display screen of electronic device such as smartwatch, smartphone. Now, OLED technology is moving to lighting application. OLED working principle. So when we apply the voltage to the device, electron and hole will be injected to the device. Electron and hole will move to the opposite direction and meet at the emissive layer. Generate exciton. The relaxation of the exciton results in light emission. However, to achieve high light emission efficiency from the emissive layer, efficient charge injection and balance are required. To achieve that, two buffer layer, hole transporting layer to transport positive charge, electron transporting layer to transport electron are required. However, most of the high efficiency OLEDs or OLED products are fabricated by high vacuum thermal evaporation process with multi-layer device structure, many buffer layer to realize well balance of the charge injection to the emissive layer, resulting in high cost production process and expensive and small area device. To overcome this problem, we need to develop OLED with simple device structure and fabrication by low-cost solution process or printing technology. However, the drawback of this simple structure OLED is low device efficiency. This is due to poor charge balance in the device, originating from the limitation of solution fabrication process. To improve the efficiency of the simple structure solution process OLED, we have developed multifunctional emissive material by combining all of these layers into single layer material. For example, including hole injection property, hole transporting property, high light emission property, as well as solution processability into single molecule. So with this material, we can fabricate simple structure device by solution process fabrication or printing, as well as we can achieve high device efficiency. So with this multifunctional emissive material and excellent device performance with solution processable, so we can develop low cost, large area OLEDs. And this will open up new application of the OLED technology. For example, printed OLED label. So we can turn electronic device to just a piece of paper. We are now working in collaboration with FSC to develop this technology. Fluorescent solution processable emissive material. Our recent successful case is oligocarbazole derivatives. So in this work, we substitute different kind of fluorescent emissive core with oligocarbazole, and we believe that the oligocarbazole substituents will provide hole transporting, hole injection property, amorphous morphology, less pi-pi interaction, fluorescent quenching of the fluorescent core, as well as solution processability to the material. With combine of these two properties, we will realize emissive material with hole transporting property, and the three chromophore will have the same processing properties. And indeed, the spirobifluorine and phenylcarbazole and naphthalene tadalazole derivative show intense fluorescence in blue, green, and red emission color. And the photoluminescent property of this material in solution and thin film are identical. This could be due to the bulky steric effect of the bicarboxyl prevent the pi-pi interaction of the fluorescent core in solid state. And this also results in the high fluorescent quantum yield in solid state of the three material as well, with the fluorescent quantum yield more than 60%. And all 404 can be formed into uniform, smooth pinhole thin film by solution casting process. This indicating that this material show high fluorescent quantum yield as well as the excellent solution process stability. The homogeneity level of this 404 were measured to be in the range of 5.1 to 5.4 electron volts and match well with the work function of the ITO anode, indicating that we can fabricate the simple structure device without whole transporting layer. And this material show a combined property of emissive property and whole transporting property. So when we fabricate the double layer solution process, OLEDs, and in this device, we still need TBBI as electron transporting layer to help the transport electron to the material and also blocking the hole to confine in the emissive material. All devices show intense emission of blue, green, and red color, and the electroluminescence spectrum of each device match well with the photoluminescence of the thin film of the emissive material. The emission color of the blue and green red OLEDs match well with the television system committee standard blue, green, and red color, indicating this material emits in pure blue, green, and red color. And the performance of the OLED device show very good external quantum efficiency. With in particular, the blue OLED show high performance with EQE value of more than 4.1%, and all devices can operate in low voltage, more than 4 volts. So with the perfect pure blue, green, red color emission of this 404, we were able to fabricate solution process white OLEDs as well by mixing of the three 404 in this ratio. And the thin film of the mixing compound show perfect white light emission with high photoluminescent quantum yield more than 80%. And the thin film morphology of this mixture show very smooth surface morphology, no phase separation. This could be due to the same processing property of the 3404. And the OLED device show perfect white light color emission with CA coordinate of 0.33, 0.32 perfect white color emission. And the device show stable white light emission. When we apply different voltage, the emission color still be the same, show high white light stability. And the performance of the device show high EQE as well, with the EQE more than 4% and luminance efficiency more than 6.6 candela per ampere. And this oligocarboxyl can also employ to form certain processable near-infrared emissive material as well by coupling with thiazolpyridine core. And these 404 show strong near-infrared emission with the emission wavelength around 730 nanometer. And the thin film of this infrared emitter show high fluorescent quantum yield more than 30% of the neat film, which is one of the highest fluorescent quantum yield of the infrared organic emitter. And the material can form solution process near infrared OLED with simple device structure and TBBI as electron transporting layer. The OLED device show intense infrared emission with the electroluminescence spectra around 726 nanometer, and the device in particular, this compound showed excellent performance and low working voltage with the external quantum efficiency maximum more than 1.5%. This is one of the highest performance of the solution process infrared OLED device. Another successful case of fluorescent solution processable emissive material is the carbazole dendrimer. In this case, we use third generation carbazole dendron to encap different type of fluorescent emissive core of blue, green, and red fluorescent emissive core. And this dendrimer also show emission property with whole transporting characteristics. And all these three fluorophore also show the same processing property. The dendrimer shows a strong fluorescence in both solution and thin film in blue, green, and red color, and they can form nice smooth thin film by solution casting process. This dendrimer also show the combined emissive and whole transporting property with the HOMO energy level close to the work function of the ITO anode. So they can be fabricated into simple structure solution process OLEDs and using CBP as electron transporting layer. All devices show intense emission of blue, green, and red emission color, and the performance is good with the luminescent efficiency more than 4 candela per ampere. So by mixing of these three dendrimer, we also able to fabricate the solution process white OLEDs, and the OLEDs show good performance with luminescent efficiency more than 3 candela per ampere, and the device show excellent white light color emission with high color stability, and the device show high color relative index of more than 95%. This could be due to the white light emission come from the emission from each fluorophore, blue, green, and red fluorophore. To improve the fluorescent emissive efficiency of the fluorescent emissive material, new generation of emissive material were developed. In this new generation emissive material, the extra emission from triplet state exciton were utilized either by thermally activated delay fluorescence mechanism or hybridized local charge transfer mechanism. In TDF mechanism, the T1 triplet state convert to single state via reverse intersystem crossing, while in the SLCT material, higher triplet state convert to single state via reverse intersystem crossing, resulting in internal quantum efficiency of 100%. And to realize the triplet state emission, the special molecular design are required. However, to realize TDF and SLCT emissive property, the material should have energy difference between triplet state and single state of lower than 0.5 electron volt. And to realize that, the molecule should form into donor-acceptor molecular structure, and the connection or conjugation between donor and acceptor moiety need to be finely tuned. And most of the SLCT and TDF emissive material are small molecule, and they need to be doped in osmotic to stabilize triplet state energy and fabricate by thermal evaporation process with the multi-layer device structure. The challenging in this field is to develop solution processable non-doped TDF and SLCT emissive material. For the SLCT solution processable emissive material, firstly, we use this system by functionalization of the SLCT core with solubilizing whole transporting carbazole moiety. In this case, we use benzothiazole SLCT core here, functionalized with alkylated carbazole moiety. We believe that with this carbazole moiety could provide whole transporting ability, amorphous morphology non-dope property, and solution processability to the material. The material in solution and thin film shows strong green emission with the PL quantum yield of the thin film more than 97%, and the material can form nice and smooth thin film by solution process. And photochromic experiment by Lippert Mataka plot show both locally excited state and charge transfer state, confirming that these molecules exhibit SLCT characteristic, and also indicate that by functionalization of the molecule with alkylated carbazole doesn't affect on SLCT property of the benzoyl triazole core. This SLCT material can be fabricated by solution process, and the double layer solution process OLED exhibits strong green emission color with the electroluminescence spectra peak at 546 nanometer, and the device shows excellent performance with working voltage lower than 4 volts and external quantum efficiency more than 6% and luminance efficiency more than 15 calorie per ampere. To realize the deep blue emission, the SLCT core was changed to diphenyl phenanthroimidazole and functionalized with the phenyl carbazole as the whole transporting and solubilizing unit. And this SLCT material exhibit strong deep blue fluorescent emission in neat film with fluorescent quantum yield of 40%. Both the theoretical calculation and Lippert Mataka plot exhibit both locally excited state and charge transfer state, proving that this material exhibit SLCT characteristics. The double layer solution process OLEDs of this material show deep blue emission with the emission wavelength around 438 nanometer, and the device performance was excellent with the external quantum efficiency around 3.3%. For thermally activated delay fluorescent solution processable emissive material, the successful case is carbazole TDF dendrimer. In this material, we use triazine as electron acceptor core, substituted by carbazole dendron of second and third generation as a donor. We believe that this carbazole dendron can provide whole transporting ability, amorphous morphology as host metric for the emissive material, and as well as the solution processability. And both dendrimer in solution and thin film show clean emission, and the emission spectra of the solution and thin film are identical, indicating that the bulky steric property of the dendrimer prevent the interaction between the molecules, and the emission spectra of the dendrimer in high polarity solvents show a redshift of the emission spectra, indicating both dendrimer show donor acceptor characteristic. The TDF property of these two dendrimers were investigated, firstly by measure the fluorescent quantum yield of the solution in the presence of oxygen and without oxygen. In the presence of oxygen, the solutions show low fluorescent quantum yield, but without oxygen, the quantum yield increased up to 80%. This due to in the absence of oxygen, the triplet state can convert to singlet state and resulting in the extra delay fluorescent emission. And transient PL spectra of the solution in degas condition also show two emission mechanism. First, the prompt fluorescent from singlet state emission, and delay fluorescent from the triplet state convert to singlet state emission. And the temperature dependent transient fluorescent spectra also prove that when increasing temperature, the delay fluorescence increase as the triplet state convert to single state, more efficient at high temperature. And delta EST of the dendrimer is around 0.2 eV. This result confirms that both dendrimer exhibit TDF characteristic, and both dendrimer can be fabricated into simple structure OLED by solution coating process. And the OLED device show strong green emission with the emission wavelength around 520 nanometer. And in particular, the second generation dendrimer show excellent device performance with external quantum efficiency more than 8% and luminance efficiency nearly 20 candela per ampere. In conclusion, we have successfully developed efficient emissive material for simple structure solution process OLEDs by incorporation of either carbazole dendrimer third generation or oligo carbazole with different fluorescent core. And with this molecular design, efficient solution process white OLEDs with high white color, stability, and purity were fabricated. And with this molecular design, the solution processable TDF and HLCT emissive material have also successfully prepared, and their solution process OLED achieve high device performance. Finally, I would like to thank all of my students for their hard working. Without their contribution, I cannot present this work today. And I would like to thank the financial support from the Thailand Research Fund, Nanotech, IRPC Company, and BizTech. And I would like to thank all of you for your kind attention. Thank you.
May it please your Royal Highness. My name is Professor Christopher Brett, President of the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAC. It is a privilege to address your Royal Highness, to address the President of the Science Society of Thailand, Professor Supawan Tantayanon, and all distinguished participants in the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, and Technology-Based Innovation, and say some words about IUPAC and its worldwide role in advancing chemistry. IUPAC was founded in 1919 with a significant impetus from the chemical industry and with the principal objective of fomenting a common language in chemistry. 100 years later, this objective remains and has broadened. We are the global organization that provides objective scientific expertise and develops the essential tools for the application and communication of chemical knowledge for the benefit of humankind and the world. We accomplish this through fostering sustainable development, providing a common language for chemistry, and advocating the free exchange of scientific information. A focus on aspects where global consensus is essential, with respect for objectivity and scientific excellence, and using a worldwide base of over 1,000 volunteer scientists with the best skills and background. We have links with international organizations such as UNESCO, OPCW, UNEP, and we are focused towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The national adhering organizations form our council. We have associated scientific organizations, company associates, which are industrial companies, and individual members. So our member nations, of which Thailand is one, of course, are the governance of the Union. Our primary activities are the development of the language of chemistry, standardization of chemistry methods, critical evaluation of physical-chemical data, in particular, notice here atomic weights, which we look at together with our physicist colleagues and which we are most well known for. Data exchange standards, digital standards, which is a thrust for the future, endorsement of international conferences. Normally there would be about 30 per year. This year there are almost 0 because of COVID, and we even held our World Chemistry Congress virtually in August this year. Chemistry education and outreach, industrial safety and environmental programs, and conferences for world needs. The world need is climate. Climate change report came out in August from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It paints a very bleak picture for us all. We need to act now, and IUPAC is part of that. We divide our work into different fields, classical ones like physical, organic, inorganic, but also transversal committees like green chemistry, chemistry and industry, chemistry education, in order to use multidisciplinary approaches to the issues that we wish to deal with. We have a scientific awards program. You can see from the list here that young appears various times, as does green. So younger chemists and an emphasis on green chemistry. So the younger of you, please apply for these awards. We have a journal, Pure and Applied Chemistry, which publishes articles based on lectures in IUPAC endorsed conferences and has special issues on other themes. It also publishes our recommendations and technical reports. We have a magazine called Chemistry International, which has opinion pieces. It tells us how projects are going. It tells us what IUPAC is doing in our normal working space. And so I'm very happy to tell you that will become open access next year in 2022. And we also have a magazine devoted primarily to education and outreach, Chemistry Teacher International. Color books bring together all the nomenclature from the projects, and we are hoping that all of these will become online and searchable in a not too distant future. We are working on the gold book here on the left at the top for this purpose already at the moment. Our relations with other organizations can be shown by IUPAC here, top left, for atomic weights and new elements. With the International Bureau on Weights and Measures, we were part of the commissions that were looking at what you all know now is the redefinition of the kilogram and the mole, which was in 2019. We collaborate, of course, with UNESCO, International Science Council, of which we are a member, and was a founder member of their predecessors, and also Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons on peaceful uses for chemistry. In 2019, we had 2 celebrations, our centenary, and also it was the International Year of the Periodic Table of Chemical Elements, which we led and celebrated the 150th anniversary of the Mendeleev Periodic Table. There were many, many events. There was a lot of enthusiasm. Young people are very much inspired to see what are the beneficial uses of the elements. We had a periodic table of younger chemists. International Young Chemist Network helped us with this. So each element has a younger chemist associated with it. It brought to our attention the lack of resources in some of the elements, the need for recycling and toxicity. Do we have enough? And I think we are all much more aware of that now in 2021 than we were even 2 years ago. We did a periodic table challenge. And so it's the challenge was answering a number of questions about a chosen element. It was very successful, so much so that last year, 2020, we launched version 2, and that is still going. And so here you can see that people have been playing this challenge from all over the world, literally all over the world, many tens of thousands of players. And we have versions in Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, and Russian, as well as English. Another event we did was the Global Women's Breakfast. And this was one of our important events in 2019 in February. And we've done it each year since. This year, it was held almost completely virtually. There were over 300 events going from New Zealand right through to Hawaii. And 2022 is already being planned. You can find this on our website. Note that men are also invited. It's not just women. I just wanted to say a few words before I finish about the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development. And I know you're having a session in the Congress on this. So IUPAC was a founding partner. IUPAC is the leader. And Thailand, the Science Society of Thailand is the supporting organization. And there are many organizations involved. And it's important that this is a success for the future in addressing the challenges that the world faces. So a resolution was adopted in 2019 by UNESCO General Conference, and it should have been proclaimed by UN General Assembly last year, but this didn't happen because of COVID, and it's in the process of being approved for proclamation at this present moment. And so the start has been delayed by 6 months to July 2022. It will have endorsed events, sponsored events, just a few flagship events. I think personally that the regional and national events are particularly important, and collaboration between the different basic sciences, not only in order to make this a success, but also for the future to inspire young people to study the basic sciences. And so this is the legacy that, of course, we all want. So finally, I'd just like to thank you for advancing chemistry worldwide with IUPAC, and to wish you a very successful conference. Thank you very much for listening.
นับเป็นพระมหากรุณาธิคุณอย่างหาที่สุดไม่ได้นะคะที่สมเด็จพระนิธิธิราชเจ้ากรมสมเด็จพระเทพรัตนราชสุดาสยามบรมราชกุมารีได้เสด็จเป็นองค์ประธานเปิดการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติวิทยาศาสตร์เทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมฐานเทคโนโลยีครั้งที่47ในโอกาสนี้และทรงประทับรับฟังปาฐกถาพิเศษจากนักวิทยาศาสตร์รางวัลโนเบลในปีคศ 2016 นะคะรวมทั้งนักวิทยาศาสตร์ดีเด่นประจำปี 2564 แล้วก็การกล่าวแนะนำนะคะ IUPAC ด้วยนะคะซึ่งก็นับว่าเป็นสิริมงคลให้กับการประชุมครั้งนี้นะคะซึ่งก็จะเป็นการประชุมที่จัดขึ้นตลอด3วันนี้ค่ะคือวันที่5ถึงวันที่7ตุลาคม2564นะคะในระบบออนไลน์นะคะซึ่งก็ผ่านทาง Facebook Live ทุกช่องทางนะคะซึ่งท่านผู้เข้าประชุมทุกท่านนะคะก็จะเริ่มเข้าสู่การประชุมนี้ได้นับจากเวลานี้เป็นต้นไปค่ะสำหรับการประชุมครั้งนี้นะคะสมาคมวิทยาศาสตร์แห่งประเทศไทยนะคะได้มีการจัดติดต่อกันอย่างต่อเนื่องนะคะเป็นเวลานานรวมทั้งสิ้น46ครั้งแล้วนะคะเป็นการประชุมนานาชาติเพื่อขยายโอกาสให้กับนักวิทยาศาสตร์และนักวิจัยไทยได้รับฟังผลงานวิจัยและแลกเปลี่ยนความรู้กว้างขวางมากขึ้นค่ะกับผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมจากต่างประเทศทั่วโลกนะคะนอกจากนี้นะคะยังจัดให้มีการนำเสนอผลงานทั้งภาคบรรยายและภาคโปสเตอร์ทั้งหมดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษผ่านระบบออนไลน์ด้วยระบบ Zoom แล้วก็ Facebook Live นะคะนอกจากนี้ยังเป็นเวทีสำคัญนะคะที่จะให้กลุ่มนักวิจัยทั่วโลกค่ะได้มาพบปะแล้วก็หารือกันในงานวิจัยที่มีความสนใจเฉพาะเรื่องนะคะโดยเฉพาะในปีนี้ที่เป็นวิกฤตและมีการเปลี่ยนแปลงต่างๆมากมายนะคะเป็นต้นว่าเรื่องของผลกระทบทางนิเวศของไมโครพลาสติกการอนุรักษ์โลกด้วยความหลากหลายของป่าการแก้ปัญหาการแพร่ระบาดของโควิด -19 ด้วยเคมีการเกษตรในรูปแบบของ BCG Economy กระบวนการผลิตไฮโดรเจนแบบยั่งยืนการใช้ประโยชน์แบบยั่งยืนในความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพทางทะเลการทบทวนการท่องเที่ยวแบบยั่งยืนหลังการแพร่ระบาดของโควิด -19 การศึกษาทางวิทยาศาสตร์เพื่อความยั่งยืนและอื่นๆนะคะซึ่งประธานหัวข้อเฉพาะแต่ละเรื่องก็ได้มีการเรียนเชิญผู้เชี่ยวชาญระดับโลกมาบรรยายผลงานที่แต่ละท่านได้ศึกษาวิจัยนะคะถือว่าเป็นข้อมูลที่มีประโยชน์อย่างยิ่งเลยดังนั้นนะคะท่านประธานจัดประชุมวิชาการในปีนี้นะคะท่านศาสตราจารย์ดร.สมเกียรติงามประเสริฐสิทธิ์ท่านก็ได้ฝากไว้ว่าการประชุมในเวทีนี้นะคะ STT47 ในครั้งนี้ไม่เพียงแต่จะเป็นประโยชน์ต่อวงการวิทยาศาสตร์และเทคโนโลยีของประเทศไทยเท่านั้นค่ะเพราะว่าเมื่อนักวิทยาศาสตร์และนักวิจัยไทยนะคะได้รับความรู้ความก้าวหน้างานวิจัยที่สำคัญนะคะและสามารถสร้างเครือข่ายกับกลุ่มนักวิจัยระดับโลกได้ก็จะทำให้นักวิทยาศาสตร์นักวิจัยของไทยนั้นสามารถทำงานเท่าเทียมกับนักนานาชาติได้รวดเร็วยิ่งขึ้นนะคะก่อประโยชน์ให้เกิดกับเศรษฐกิจแล้วก็สังคมของประเทศไทยต่อไปนั่นก็คือเวทีสำคัญในวันนี้นะคะซึ่งก็จะมีการประชุมอย่างต่อเนื่องนะคะทั้งในรูปแบบของภาคบรรยายภาคโปสเตอร์ตลอดทั้ง3วันท่านสามารถเข้าไปนะคะในเว็บไซต์ดูรายละเอียดนะคะโปรแกรมต่างๆได้นะคะ STT47.scisoc นะคะ scisoc.or.th ได้ตลอดเวลาเลยนะคะ
Again, we would like to inform you that this year we have 5 sessions and 19 symposiums with a variety of interesting topics for all of you to attend. For example, innovation impacts driven SDG, physics for life in space, chemical solutions for sustainable society, impact of biological science, and etc. The poster session starts at about 11 and the oral session gonna start at around 1 p.m. For more information about the schedule and program, please visit our website at stt47.scisoc.or.th. At the moment, we have come to the end of the opening ceremony. On behalf of the 47th International Congress on Science, Technology, and Technology-Led Innovation, we would like to express our gratitude to all honored guests for participating in today's opening ceremony. Thank you so much indeed.
ค่ะสำหรับการประชุมนะคะพิธีเปิดการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาตินะคะในรูปแบบออนไลน์ผ่านสื่ออิเล็กทรอนิกส์ในครั้งนี้นะคะก็เสร็จสิ้นเรียบร้อยแล้วขอกราบขอบพระคุณนะคะท่านนายกสมาคมวิทยาศาสตร์แห่งประเทศไทยในพระบรมราชูปถัมภ์ศาสตราจารย์ดร.สุภวรรณ ตันตยานนท์ท่านประธานจัดการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติวิทยาศาสตร์เทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมฐานเทคโนโลยีครั้งที่ 47 ศาสตราจารย์ดร.สมเกียรติงามประเสริฐสิทธิ์ ท่านคณบดีคณะศิลปศาสตร์และวิทยาศาสตร์ผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.อนามัยดำเนตรและท่านผู้เกียรติทุกท่านนะคะที่อยู่ในห้องประชุมอนามัยดำเนตรแห่งนี้นะคะต้องขอบพระคุณทุกท่านอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะแล้วก็ขอให้ทุกท่านได้เข้าร่วมการประชุมวิชาการนี้นะคะอย่างมีความสุขตลอดการประชุมแล้วก็สามารถนำผลงานวิจัยนะคะนำข้อมูลต่างๆมาช่วยกันพัฒนาประเทศชาติต่อไปค่ะสำหรับวันนี้ดิฉันภกามาศ ธนพัฒนพงศ์นะคะแล้วก็ท่านอาจารย์นะคะก็จะขออนุญาตลาเวทีตรงนี้ไปก่อนนะคะขอบพระคุณท่านผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.ปิยพงษ์เลาศรีรัตนชัยรองคณบดีฝ่ายวิชาการคณะศิลปศาสตร์และวิทยาศาสตร์ที่เป็นพิธีกรร่วมในวันนี้ด้วยค่ะขอบพระคุณและสวัสดีค่ะผู้บริหารนะคะในชุดขาวด้านบนเวทีนะคะแล้วก็ท่านผู้เกียรตินะคะที่ใส่สูทเบเซอร์นะคะขอเรียนเชิญตั้งแถวด้านล่างค่ะ